stand for a moment of silence for President.
Can we have roll call?
Counselor Hartranft.
Here.
Counselor Conley.
Here.
Counselor Lockwood. Here. Counselor Sprague. Supervisor Lockwood.
Here. Under announcements, congratulations to, we got here Grandpa Jerry and Grandma Linda Lockwood on the birth of their new granddaughter Sydney. The Volney Field Days will be June 17th, 18th, and 19th, with a parade on June 18th at 7 p.m. Town offices will be closed Friday in remembrance of President Reagan. Committee reports. I guess we don't have a fireman here. Assessor?
Yes, I have. This is from David Gray. There was approximately 170 grievances this year and 5 stipulations. And once our office receives the PAR, which is the Board of Assessment Review, determinations, they will be entered into the RPS database to reflect the 204 final assessment rules.
Dennis, let me just make one comment on that. David Gray is not here. I think he's had a very busy couple, 3 weeks over the last month or so with the assessment issues. And one of the things that we wanted to mention, I think it should be mentioned, is that David's job is to determine values of property. A lot of people are upset about their taxes and the amount of taxes they're paying. And I think a couple of the other board members here feel that maybe a lot of that has fallen on David's shoulders, and David is not the one that's setting our taxes. David is simply there to value properties. And we think he does a pretty good job of that. Everybody could do better, but we think he does a pretty good job. We think he's done a good job for the town. And those of you who have a problem with your taxes, which I think there are a lot of us up there, there's other places to go, particularly voting. Voting in November and voting this past May. Very few people voted this past May. A lot of people are upset with their taxes. I think that David Gray is not the person to go after regarding that issue. And I just wanted to mention, because I think when it comes to the job of valuing properties, which is what he's there to do, we think he does that pretty well.
Building inspector.
Permits for May of 2004. Accessory buildings, we had 6 for $657. Alterations, 1 for $30. Decks, 1 for $50. Farm buildings, 1 for $72. Manufactured homes and parks, 1 for $65. 1 and 2 family homes, we had 1 for $100, and porches 2 for $100, for a total of $1,074. Inspections, building code, we had 36, zoning 20. There's 13 violations, zoning violations issued. There was 3 certificates of occupancy and 2 certificates of compliance. I wanted to add that next Thursday, the office will be closed because I have to go to continued education, which we have to do so many hours every year. So I won't have office hours next Thursday evening, but we'll still have them on Tuesday. And that's the report for this one.
Dog control?
Oh, I can give it to Linda. You say that word so nicely.
Nobody else can see you, but I. Okay, dog control officers, monthly report, month of May 2004. 45 calls received, 5 dogs housed at the kennel, 4 dogs reported lost, 2 dogs adopted, 2 dogs euthanized, 300 miles traveled this month, 30 appearance tickets issued. And that's by Edward Smith, Dog Control Officer.
Highway?
Expenses for May 2004. Supplies and maintenance, $8,000.45. Payroll, $19,424. For a total of $27,424.45. The payroll hours as follows: 381 hours on machinery repair, 125 hours on winter cleanup, 4 hours on cold patching, 8 hours on beaver dams, 30 hours on signs and guide rails, 460 hours on drainage and culvert work, 32 hours on buildings and grounds, for a total of 1,040 hours. For the month of May, we used 211 gallons of gas, 757 gallons of diesel fuel.
Historian?
Pardon me. This past month, I've been occupied with the normal duties of my office, as well as local research for a family that removed to Wisconsin from this area. The immediate shadow or perplexity is to gain the exact date that Volney became a township. And there are 2 schools of thought on this question, and I would like some official input of opinions as to the exact date determined by the handout that I left for the town board and supervisor. My opinion, and the one being used by the towns of Redfield and Williamstown, are dates with the word "was formed." Ours would be in that state, and ours being, the day we were formed and officially named, would be March 21st, 1806. And a reasoning behind that, there will be one of these days we've got to think of a 200-year celebration that needs to be carried out. Now, even though we had a change in April 5th, 1811, this handout was obtained from the official New York State records of the mid-1850s. And this is kind of like a marriage license that a lot of people have them, but they never carry with them. But I have not seen incorporation papers for our township. And I'm sure New York State, somewhere along the line, passed them. And that is the reason for my quest. Now, I've asked our local assemblyman for assistance in this matter. And the last thing today, I got a call back from them and said, check with the county historian or something like that, so rather than call her and talk to the custodian, I will pursue this further. And thank you.
Planning?
The planning board held its monthly meeting on June 2nd. We had 6 items on our agenda. The first was a public hearing was held for Mr. Frank Gardner to open a garage at 16 Flood Drive. Several people voiced their concerns over allowing another garage to open on Flood Drive. No one from the public spoke in favor of Mr. Gardner's application. Mr. Gardner's application currently is being held for further review. I see some of the people that spoke at the planning board meeting is also here to share their concerns with the town board this evening. The second thing on our agenda was another public hearing we held for Dale and Don Incorporated. They submitted an application to open a motorcycle safety training school on Baldwin Road. And no one from the public spoke against Dale and Don's application. After careful review, Dale and Don's site plan was approved. The third item was a public hearing was held for Mr. Theodore Riley's application to construct storage buildings to be located on Pierce Drive. No one from the public spoke against Mr. Riley's application, and after careful review, Mr. Riley's application site plan was also approved. The fourth thing was a special use permit was approved for Omni Point Communication to erect a telecommunication tower on 138 Owens Road. There's considerable amount of discussion over a special use permit, and we have a resolution which we're going to be probably mailing out on Monday concerning it. But it did get approved. The The fifth item was a mini subdivision was approved for Riverview Business Park, formerly the Miller's property, after they secured all the variances they needed from the zoning board and all the input we had from the attorneys and everything. That mini subdivision was also approved. The next thing was the zone change request that the town board requested the planning board to review. And I submitted each of you a letter. It said, please be advised that the planning board reviewed and recommends the zoning changes proposed by Victor Ryu to change a portion of industrial zone land to agricultural zone. The planning board has carefully reviewed this proposal and has determined that due to the location of the property, having no significant impact on the existing parcels, the amount of parcels involved, and the consent of the surrounding neighbors, that this does not constitute spot zoning and therefore is permissible. So that was our answer to the town board on that review. Any questions?
Chip, do you have any idea when Riverview is going to be coming before the planning board for site plan?
No, I don't. I'd probably say 6 months or so, 6, 8 months, if I took a guess. I don't think they're going to start production until sometime next year.
Recreation?
The next trip is scheduled to see the Sky Chiefs game at the PNC Stadium. The tentative date is July 28th, and it's on a Wednesday night, and a bus will be provided. And this is by Karen Kyle, Recreation Director.
Town clerk?
Okay, I had 43 certified copies for $430, 2 marriage licenses for $35, sold 1 county road map for $2, minor sales 50 cents. The ZBA public hearing was $195, the planning board public hearing was $195, that is 3 each. And bingo proceeds was $147.92. There was 1 dog adoption, $52, 117 dog licenses were sold for $527.03. 13 building permits for $1,179, 1 demolition permit for $50, and 5 home occupations for $100. The total revenues was $3,327.42. The total expenses, $348.97, and the town got $2,978.45. April, May, and June, I did 32 notaries. We sent out 21 postcards and made 32 phone calls to delinquent dog owners. Thank you.
If I might comment, the 1 road map she sold to me. And I took it over and gave it to the highway department. And it's what, 18, 19 years old since it's been upgraded? Okay, zoning?
I don't have any zoning.
Old business. I guess this could be old business, that we will be meeting with the engineer after this meeting tonight on this water district. In fact, he just walked in. Okay, new business. This is, I'm going to read part of this. This will probably is a letter that I really ain't supposed to have anyways, but I do happen to have it, and it went out to county legislators. It seems like the Oswego County, that task force subcommittee, you know, it's inviting them to a meeting on June 14th at 1 p.m. The meeting will be held in the legislative chambers at the Oswego County building. Topic of discussion will include the advantages and disadvantages for Oswego County to privatize its solid waste system or become a solid waste authority. And then there's a list of people that are going to be there from different places. My comment on this, I really don't want to see this solid waste department up here ever be privatized, because I think this town's going to be getting more stuff than they ever dreamed that they had. I mean, we have enough problems in areas now. But that's just my opinion, and I wanted the town board to know about this. And I'm sure a lot of other people are going to know about it once this hits the TV, so. Any petitions here tonight? Okay, we'll go into our resolutions. I think yours is going to come under public comment. We won't be long, we'll be right there.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Resolution 2004-76, approval of minutes. Move to approve the regular meeting minutes of May 13th, 2004, having been previously distributed to the town board for their review without reading them aloud. I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Counselor Hartranft?
Yes.
Counselor Conley?
Yes.
Counselor Lockwood?
Yes.
Supervisor Lockwood?
Yes.
Motion is carried 4-0.
Resolution 2004-77, payment of vouchers. Move to authorize the supervisor to instruct the bookkeeper to pay the following vouchers from the appropriate accounts. Vouchers 138 through 169, general fund in the amount of $53,256.56. Vouchers 99 through 116, highway fund in the amount of $8,000.45. Vouchers 7 and 8, hospital or Swiggle Healthcare in the amount of $337.35. Voucher number 7 and 8, Seneca Hill Sewer in the amount of $10,145.62. And voucher number 2, Bundyville Water in the amount of $1,874.25, as shown on abstracts 6, June 2004. I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Counselor Hartranft?
Yes.
Counselor Conley?
Yes.
Counselor Lockwood?
Yes.
Supervisor Lockwood?
Yes.
Motion is carried 4-0.
Resolution 2004-78, write letter of support for grant for Bristol Hill Church. Move to authorize the supervisor to sign a letter of support for a grant for the Bristol Hill Church. I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Counselor Hartranft?
Yes.
Counselor Conley?
Yes.
Counselor Lockwood?
Yes.
Supervisor Lockwood?
Yes.
Motion is carried 4-0.
Resolution 2004-79, advertise for a public hearing for zone change on the Owens Road. Move to advertise for a public hearing for a zone change from industrial to agricultural for the north side of the Owens Road, as requested by Victor Ranier and referred to the town board by the planning board. I'll move it.
I'll second
Okay, I have some plans that he gave me today, so
Well, if we have them for the meeting, or before
I
the
will,
meeting.
And
I
they're,
will bring them up at our public.
and they're available to the people if they want to come in ahead of time to look at them.
Exactly. Counselor Hartranft?
Yes.
Counselor Conley?
Yes.
Counselor Lockwood?
Yes.
Supervisor Lockwood?
Yes.
Motion is carried 4-0.
One thing in reference to the resolutions, just Barb, the Chip's here, he can verify that the legal bills for that Riverview, they agreed they'd pick up the cost of legal bills, right? The applicant? So we can in turn bill them on that.
Bill,
Riverview, yeah.
I believe they agreed right at the beginning of the meetings.
Yeah.
I believe you brought the question forward.
that's for the attorney?
The attorney's bill, was it Allison's bill? Yeah, we signed off on Tuesday.
Okay.
And any bill, she appeared, I think it was both zoning and planning on that bill, but it was all in regards to the Riverview application, and they've agreed they'd pick up the cost of that.
Okay.
Public comment.
I have some documentation that I'd like to hand out for future reference, because there's quite a bit of detail here. I also have some exhibits that we're going to refer to as I get through the presentation. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Connie Allpeter, a resident of Oswego County in the town of Volney. I reside at 65 Flood Drive. I'm a lifelong resident of the town of Volney. I am here to express my deep concern with the existing businesses located at the end of Flood Drive, and based on the facts being presented today, there is strong opposition to allow any other parts or junk car dealer the opportunity to establish business. If this is allowed, It will, without a doubt, be at the expense of the residents of Flood Drive. This will only contribute to the already horrendous problem that we as homeowners on Flood Drive face every day. The issues that I am going to bring to the surface and discuss here today have brought hardship to the environment. It will continue to bring down our property values as homeowners and are unacceptable to the residents of Flood Drive. I assure you that this is a major concern that we are all eager to bring to the surface and would like to resolve it in the very near future. During this grievance, you will find that the residents of Flood Drive undoubtedly are subjected to a serious pollution problem that can be traced to and or has greatly contributed to the salvage and car parts business currently established on Flood Drive. Homeowners on Flood Drive are tired of these current conditions and would like to see responsibility, accountability for the businesses. And it's the town's obligation to enforce the rules that apply to these businesses. Exhibits. Presented before you today, you have several sets of pictures and plastic. We have a plastic bag of items. Throughout the presentation, I will be referring to these. The 3x5 pictures that you are reviewing show the polluted ditches that start on the corner of Route 3 and Flood Drive that extend to the end on both sides of the road. They include the following: hubcaps, tires, which is a breeding ground for West Nile virus, plastic piping, plastic soda bottles, auto parts, brake drums, brake pads, gasoline tanks, auto mechanic rags, junk vehicles 4 or 5 deep, McDonald's bags, empty cigarette packs, gasoline spills, solvents, oil contamination, and car batteries. The next set of pictures that you're going to view, the 5x7s, are pictures that indicate what will happen when a tractor trailer carrying crushed cars cannot make the turn off of Flood Drive onto Route 3. The tractor trailer tipped over, thus causing a contamination spill that required the fire department and the DEC to be called out for cleanup. And the other pictures give you a very good view at how items are transported, how they can barely make the turn, and how scrap and junk can fall off into the right-of-way, onto the side of the road, or into the ditches. Now, my objective here tonight is this. As a homeowner, I have a responsibility and I have accountability. My home is my lifelong investment, pride, and comfort zone. My home will inevitably become my place of retirement. From a business perspective, there should be a certain amount of pride, accountability, and ethics too. I am sure that no one wants his or her livelihood to be challenged or taken away. I'm not out to burn bridges or make enemies. I want to make that clear. However, I do know that whether you're a billion-dollar corporation or a sole proprietorship, you have a certain amount of responsibility. And I would like to mention what those responsibilities are. Social responsibility. This is the recognition that business activities have an impact on society, and the consideration of that impact plays a major role. So in essence, accountability and responsibility for whatever impact your business may or may not have on society. Next one, ethics issues. Fairness and honesty are two important critical concerns, as are obeying laws and regulations. Business people are expected to refrain from knowingly deceive, misrepresent, pass off, and or intimidate others. And pollution. This is the contamination of water, air, land through the acts of people and businesses. And might I add that loud noises are also considered pollution today. All of Flood Drive residences are subjected to land, air, water, and noise pollution from the business owners and the customers who patronize them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It never stops. I would like to take this one step further now and talk about some eyewitness destruction and atrocities that have impacted the environment surrounding Flood Drive. First one is, a gentleman had pulled off the side of the road jumped out of his truck, pulled a 5-gallon gas can out of his flatbed, and proceeded to fill his gas tank. Under normal circumstances, this would not have been a problem, except there was nothing normal about this act. Because as he was putting it in, it was coming out the bottom just as fast, therefore leaving a pool of gasoline on the road, thus causing contamination and destruction to the environment. Did this gentleman care? Not in the least. Was he ever going to do business on Flood Drive? Maybe, maybe not. However, being that he does not live in the area, his lack of respect for the environment and his boldness was unacceptable. Another eyewitness account. A neighbor witnessed a car door fall off a transport truck that was on its way to the salvage business. This was not the first account of witnessing this kind of behavior, nor will it be the last. After numerous calls to the trooper station filing complaints, her only recourse was to do what the troopers had recommended. She stood by the side of the road waiting for the salvage yard customer to come back. She waited for them to stop as they drove by. When they realized she was writing down her plate number, then and only then did they stop, back up, and pick up the car door they had all intentions of leaving. Another eyewitness account. 3 large bags of trash were found in the ditch, neatly lined up. Troopers reported they could not open the bag to look for the name of the owner, so the property owner did. The troopers then called the owner of the trash to have her pick it up. Her comment was, "I don't own the car anymore. I sent it to the salvage yard on Flood Drive with the garbage in the trunk." The troopers called the salvage yard. They reported that it must have just inadvertently fallen in the ditch. Therefore, the trash remained in the ditch until nasty weather came, broke the bags apart, and we ultimately ended up with soiled diapers dispersed throughout the ditches, along with other debris. Another one. Cars are often occupied while being towed, frequently by underage drivers. Their job is to steer and apply brakes as best they can as they are dragged to their final destination, to the salvage yard. Wires have been ripped off of houses on Flood Drive as flatbed trailers loaded with too many crushed cars try to pass beneath them. Trucks turning onto Route 3 or turning onto Flood Drive very often cannot make the turn, thus hitting, bending, and or destroying mailboxes. The repairs are at the cost of the homeowner. At least 3 times, flatbed trailers hauling cars cut the corners too short, landed in the ditch, thus causing traffic to back up Route 3 and preventing local traffic from going on or leaving Flood Drive. Very often between 3 a.m. and 3:30 a.m., flatbeds with crushed cars sit idle on the corner of Flood Drive and Route 3, waiting for the other tractor trailers to catch up with them, thus creating a convoy of 2 to 3 trucks. You can only imagine the disturbance and aggravation this has on the residents who live on the corner of Route 3 and Flood Drive. And lastly, it's a dead-end road. What goes down must ultimately come back. So we are subjected to that, which once was a very quiet road to live on. Now, I know you just can't come and complain, so I want to bring some solutions, and that's my next part of my presentation. Some of my solutions are, 1, social audit. A comprehensive report of what the businesses are going to do with regard to the cleanup of the environment on Flood Drive. Another one, behavioral modification. Businesses take ownership and input a systematic program of reinforcement to encourage desirable behavior from their customers. Evaluation, recognizing that their businesses brings a weakness to the residents and the property owners on Flood Drive, and what plan are they going to put together to deal with it? Monitor Flood Drive daily or weekly. In other words, be a gatekeeper. Township and county responsibility, enforce the rules, clean out the ditches, and test our wells. Cost-effective solution could be insert signs indicating road under surveillance, along with no dumping, no littering every 500 feet to emphasize and discourage dumping on Flood Drive. In closing, I would like to thank you for your attention and cooperation in regard to the issues that have been brought to you in detail today. This presentation, the exhibits, the eyewitness accounts, possible solutions, and most importantly, the fact that environmental pollution is no laughing matter. I would ask that you recognize the deteriorating environment, the lack of interest from the business owners, the act of responsibility, the potential disaster that the homeowners of Flood Drive are challenged with each and every day. We need to take action, follow through with it, and monitor it regularly. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Dennis, I just wanted to say that Connie did come into our office and go over some of the issues that we can at our level, at my department, take care of, and we have cited some of the properties on that road. And I think I talked to Connie about that when she was in, she did have some debris from the road. A lot of the debris falling off doesn't fall into my job, but the businesses do to some degree, and we have moved forward on those, and we will continue to. It's been an ongoing problem for a couple of years, and it got cleaned up a little bit last year, and then this year it got worse than it was, I would say, when we got them to clean it up last year. As for the business enterprise that wants to go in there, I have seen his other business in Phoenix, New York, and it is a well-run operation. He's trying to take over the property that was formerly a automotive operation. So just, again, looking at what he wants to do, from looking at his other operation, I personally thought it would be an improvement from what was there now. That's up to the planning to decide ultimately anyway. But I just want to make a comment that we have been in communication, and we have acted on the things that we can do. A lot of those issues are state issues, and some of them may be cleanup issues with the town, but that would be out of our department.
Doesn't the salvage gentleman at the end of the road, doesn't he have to come before the town for a renewal of his junkyard permit on an annual basis?
Yes.
Maybe, as Connie said, a little social responsibility on the part of the businessman, at least to kind of clean the debris off the side of the road on a regular basis could be possibly a condition of his renewal of his permit. You know, I think that there is a responsibility on the part of a businessman to at least consider the welfare of the neighbors to some extent. I think it's only good business.
Do they bring tractor trailers full of vehicles in at night and then sit there at the end of the road and wait for them to open up in the morning? Early, like
Hours?
4 or 5?
3:30. 3:30 in the morning,
Is it wrong?
and they wait for the other ones to
That's
catch
something
up with
else we
them.
might
and
be
then
able
leave.
to talk about or something. We'll have to look at your list of things and talk about what we can do, where we legally can do.
Why can't they cover this up as they go down the road? You have to make it to the dump,
You have to at the landfill, you have to
Yes.
have everything covered up.
and nothing is covered. Do you see the mess? Just unreal.
I think the problem you would have is you'd have to have somebody at the end of the road to enforce it.
Yeah, gatekeepers, you need to have somebody follow these people down and follow them out in order to prevent, because they don't accept tires and things like that, so the things that they don't accept, they just come back down their road and they dump it. And there it sits in the ditches, there's tons of tires in those ditches. My pictures don't do much justice, you have to see it firsthand, and it's just
As the
horrible.
price of the landfill has gone up, dumping has gone up all over, so I mean, any dark road is increased also.
And dead end roads are a classic spot as they go down by the old Nestle Park Road. Always junk down there, and we're calling in to see if the town will remove it, which they do, but the dead ends are kind of the classic spot. Along the river, right across from Miller, the old Miller plant is another spot where they tend, there's the old trolley track they dump there, and it's a continuing problem all over. Not to say that yours is any less important than any other.
But I think a lot of that wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the business that's operating at the end of the road. So I don't think that it's that irresponsible to say, hey, maybe, you take a few of your people and once a week or once a month, walk up and down that road and pick the stuff up, just being a good business neighbor. I think, that's not an unfair expectation.
Does the town have the ability to fine a person that's caught littering like that?
$500.
I think we can go higher.
I thought it was.
Or up to 1,000. It goes to 1,000, right.
The key is you would literally have to see them do the littering to do that. And that's where the issue comes to play of, you'd have to be there 24 hours a day to actually, other than an odd chance of catching somebody.
Well, we've already been chastised for taking pictures.
Yes, and 1 hour is all you have to be there for. And you'll see something fall from whatever is going down the road.
It's not a pretty environment, it's horrendous.
Just take 1 hour.
She mentioned something about signs. Would that make any difference if we put some signs up there?
Oh, I think we might could put signs up there. I mean,
Probably be great to put a camera up there.
I'm not sure it would deter it.
A sign may not deter, but it may help in down the road in a court issue if we can finally get somebody we catch somebody. The signage would definitely be to the town's advantage in prosecuting somebody because there's some obvious signage saying, look, be careful of this. It's because of the community having a dump station back there for the type of business that was there.
Well, I agree with Kevin. I think if the owner of the salvage yard knew that his license might be in jeopardy because of the stuff that's being dumped on the way to his salvage yard, he might be able to put some pressure back on the people that are bringing the vehicles in.
Is it all going to the individual dump? I was down that road.
The other businesses there's been a business and the salvage yard has not been violated because they can do that mess in the yard. We have violated the repair business for the mess of unregistered cars and that they have, which after I talked to you last time, I told you we would do that, and we have. And we will follow up on that with tickets once they don't clean up, if they don't clean up. We also violated a couple homeowners that have a lot of mess beyond your home, but down on that end, it tends to be the final third of the road that has most of the problems. The first third to half are more residential, take care of the properties well. As it goes more business, it gets worse. It is an industrial zone, but many of those houses were there probably before that zone was initialized. So again, they do have to cohabitate, and it's not a bad idea to see if we can get some of the businesses to do some of these things.
Is there any way possible that the road could be widened, flood dry, so they can make their turn?
Ray will speak on that.
We've talked to the state about that intersection, and they say there's no funds available. But if you write your,
I agree with you. I seen one person today with the turn
we thought when they went through and repaid that they would do something. Didn't happen.
During the ice storm, we had a problem. And the trees, the state, a long time ago, told us that they would remove them in case they had a widened road. Well, so happened to be, we were blessed with this. They come down, they said they'll remove one tree, and they had 6 of them. A month later, they came back and said they'll remove the tree, but not the stumps. We had to pay for that. We're still cleaning up. It cost us over $6,000 for that. And I was told the state was wrong. They got money, they do it for everybody else. I don't know why they can't do it for you, because I'm 78 years old and my husband's 80. And that road does need to be widened, because we've had, I'd say, about 3 or 4 mishaps on that road where they turned right over. And the guy that's down the end of the road had to come up and dig them out.
This is, that particular intersection is nothing, they would not allow the town of Volney to work on that intersection. It has to be the state.
They also keep taking some of my property away. I own the first 2 houses on State Road 3 and Bud Drive.
But the signs, we probably could do something about.
And they keep making their turns shorter and shorter all the time.
I will continue to press on with the individual owners where I can do that, which will help some.
The road cleaned up? Do you think we can get numerous tires and gas tanks?
We have been down there picking some of that stuff up.
Gas tanks and batteries.
We're
and-
not, we can't
I
keep it all.
walk that road every day, and
You know, can't be there
every day something's new, you know, I just.
An interesting point is, the DEC is at the end of the road. I wonder if there's something that we could maybe address with them. They're driving down there every day also.
It's amazing they don't see that, right?
Well, that's my thought, because a lot of it is a state issue, and we are as a town trying to work, you know, and do what we can. I've been down there at 12:30 at night. I've had personal calls to my house where I've offered to come down with noise complaints, and I've taken the troopers and we've stopped it. I haven't had any lately, but there's been some calls where 10:30 at night even, things of operation probably shouldn't be going on. And I talked to the owners and they've stopped, but we do have a limit to what we can do, and we don't want to overstep too far because it can come back on us.
I just have one more thing to say. I just don't want to see another dealer, parts business down my road. I don't care what kind of business this person has. It's not them, it's their customers. If you can't monitor your customers, you can't be in business.
There's enough traffic already.
Might be worthwhile to consider a moratorium of development on that stretch of road until such time as this issue can be resolved to some extent.
I don't know the legalities of it all, but it is a permitted business for that district. Just for the record, it is one that we do permit in the industrial zone. Again, it would probably be something that the attorneys would have to look at to see if that particular one could be stopped at this point, or if he would comply to some of these things that the neighbors have requested, and watching the street as the clients come in and out.
The neighbors might have ruled it for them, that's all. Not just have to serve.
Well, since the planning board meeting, I've touched bases with town attorney Allison, and she's discussed a couple of options that I need to discuss with the board at our next meeting.
We got a very stressed environmental situation there that maybe is past the point of allowing it to continue. It has to be improved. Yeah, and obviously that may not improve it, that may only worsen it. And then the other issue is, and I think it is a town board issue, would be to pass a moratorium on development of that area until such time as the, would have to be for a specific period of time. You can't indefinitely do it, but I think you could do it for 6 months or something until some kind of course of action can be developed to get the,
A cleanup plan,
Yeah,
a
the people
plan
to
of
be a little bit
protection
more-
from some point out.
and maybe
whatever.
get some of these business people together and say, hey, look, guys, let's work together here. What is it that you guys can do to help alleviate this situation? You're all living on the same street, and, something should be done.
They probably don't live there though, right?
No,
They just
that's-
work-
yeah,
yeah,
no.
They don't, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like they're looking at it in their backyard.
True. I believe there's only 2 businesses on the road, am I correct?
Too bad business.
Yeah.
Three.
Is there-
You have 30, does Mr. Spalding have a business?
Yeah, okay, yeah, there's 3, this is just a sale. Only.
Is he the one that has the 5, 6 vehicles lined up in a row deep in his property? The other side
Possibly,
of that?
yeah. On the other side.
No plates?
the other one open up yet?
We're pretty small.
Probably the one you're gonna look at tomorrow.
They've been looking, we've been up there, so, I mean, they're in process of, they're in the system right now.
End of the road,
After they.
and he can't take his cars to the
Yeah, go
salvage yard.
figure.
Everybody from every place else brings their cars
Oh,
down
I
here,
gotta
but
do that.
the guy who lives next door can't take his cars down here.
You know, we took, Connie, when Connie came in, I went right out right after it, and they had been before, and we did re-violate so that we can move forward, and the next step will be ticketing and going to the court system. Once it hits the court system, it could speed up or slow down, but the one that hits that point, it's completely out of the town's hands, 100%, because it has to go through that system. It depends on how they fight it or don't fight it. We had one last year that took well over a year. We did get it cleaned up, but it was a big bone of contention, and we had many complaints in here, and that was the 4 and 6 property. But it did get cleaned up. Once it hit the court, it took them time to get it done, and it did get cleaned up. That's the progress that will happen if they don't do it on their own, which obviously as of today doesn't look like it's happening. I can't violate the scrapyard for stuff falling off of people's vehicles, though. That would literally be almost a police action type thing, that they'd have to catch them, and again, they can't be there every day either to watch it. So that's the toughest one that I can see to try to cure, short of stopping them from going down there at all. Because you have to catch them in the act of dropping things off their vehicle to give them even a ticket for a sheriff to give them a ticket, short of if they had a name of somebody on some garbage. I mean, that's the best shot in the world, is to have an actual piece of garbage with somebody's name. But it's a tough one, it's just a tough one to prosecute.
Well, we'll do some thinking on this. I got something in the back of my mind that I'd rather not discuss right here, but I will with you afterwards. Because you'll probably be gone, I got a meeting afterwards already. But it would be in your people's favor.
Excuse me, just one more question. Does anybody here, or can anybody here tell me where I can find out, or show me documentation when the zoning changed on that road? Because when I built my house 25 years ago, it was agricultural.
Oh, there's got to be something around someplace.
Probably something.
And I missed the whole ball of wax when it changed to industrial, and I don't know, I'd like to know when that happened. If somebody could tell me, direct me to find
Well,
out.
we would have it here,
Okay.
but they have it here tonight, I don't have it in front of us.
We should have it. yeah.
Probably more than 10 years ago.
Was it that long?
I don't think so. So I'm trying to think back, I've been involved in, I can't remember us dealing with that piece, so I could have to be more than 10 years ago.
And it could go as far back as 1972, when the zoning was initially started.
Industrial?
Back.
Most of the road is industrial.
Used to be residential, but we had a house fire on the corner, and we put a little building next door to it. So my husband and I could survive when we retired. And I think it was residential then.
It should have been a public hearing to change it.
Certain parts of the road.
Hmm?
Certain parts of the
They
road.
did that.
Well, if it was done back in the 70s when it was originally done, there probably was some public hearings.
I can look.
Okay, our future meetings, July 6th would be our next planning board at 7 PM. July 6th would also be a bill signing in preparation. July 8th would be our next town board meeting. July 12th would be the next zoning board.
And that's changed from the first Tuesday to the second Tuesday because zoning board members couldn't make the first Tuesday.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Okay.